Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon Ranger! So in the last part, we went to our same mine and we ran to the same mine from before, and it is now become our official partner Pokemon. Now we're just gonna be checking on Spenser's Fearow to see if it's doing okay. But in the meantime, while we're just gonna be talking to some people here, there is one thing that I made a big mistake on when it came to the last video. It was when I was talking about Chikorita and Zigzagoon about not having any Poke Assists. What I meant to say was, well, it is actually true for Zigzagoon. Not a Chikorita, but what I was actually talking about was that Zigzagoon and Chikorita do not have any field moves on them, meaning that they are gonna not be able to do any sort of like target clears. Yeah, essentially meaning that they're not gonna be. If they don't have any Poke Assists or the ability to utilize field moves, then they're not going to be that much helpful to you, like, ever. Yeah, but anyways, now as we go for the second floor here, now we see this guy with a Dragonite. Now, he's called the Dragonite Ranger. And it's called the Dragonite Bus. But, however, we're not going to be able to utilize the Dragonite Bus just yet. Yeah, not just yet anyway. That's actually going to be saved that's going to be something we're going to be saving for much later on. But anyways, everyone, now since we are still here, I may as well go over something that you may have saw in the very first video, but I just did not explain it. I just did not explain it. Is that not only that you can move your character with the control pad, but you can also move your character with the touch screen. Meaning that you can essentially lead your character with the styler, so that you can actually lead him to where you actually want them to go. And also, not only that, you can tap them. Now, you can actually talk to NPCs from really far away, that are really far away from your character by also tapping them with the stylus, as long as they are in your view, on screen. Yeah, that can actually be very, very handy at points. So, how did my Fearow go? I see. Oh, okay, thanks. Oh yes, ditto. I have a new mission for you, or should you say our first official mission anyway. Professor Hastings will be walking back to Fallen City. Ditto, your job is to escort the good professor and see to it that he returns to Fallen City safely. That, ditto, is your first official mission. Yeah, as I said just then, you'll need to go through the Lyra Forest and head for the Kuroka Cave. Once you get for the tunnel, Fallen City is just steps away. So now we have our first official mission. It's good to have you along, ditto. My well-being is in your hands. Why yes, it certainly is. So yeah, we definitely have a ways to go before we actually head ourselves back to Fallen City. You get to escort the professor? That's really heavy. Too heavy even. Yeah, even for you, Murph. Do you want to hear about the mission I had yesterday? My mission yesterday was find the missing toenail clippers. Wow, that is something. You know how toenail clippers always seem to be missing the few times you actually need them? And do you know what I mean? I wouldn't know it personally, but yeah, but it may suck for you. And I guess I should say this as well. Now that we're gonna be going for our first official mission, now you may as well see what these characters have to say now, considering that we're not actually going to be coming back to we're not actually going to be visiting Ringtown again for like a long while. So yeah, so you may as well check in on the citizens. So you may as well check on the citizens before you set yourself off to Fall City. Perhaps the show isn't actually a ranger escorting the professor? I knew right from the start. Oh, but the professor seems impatient to go. You had better be on your way. Yeah, obviously. We're gonna be on our way. Now, what about you? Yeah, you've already said about that. But anyways, let's get going with our first official mission. Escort the professor. Now, don't you treat me as if I were a decrepit old man. There's no need for you to feel concerned on my part. Let us march. And then immediately as soon as we start marching, a Bellsprout appears. And now we have our first Pokemon that is actually going to be attacking you. Yeah, as you saw right there with that, as you saw with this, from a Bellsprout, he immediately starts attacking as soon as the fight starts. Oh, here we go. Now we have a very first level up. Now, for every time we get ourselves a level up, not only does our HP increase, but also does our length off our capture line, meaning that you'll be able to create even more longer lines, which can definitely be extremely handy, especially for the much more tougher challenges and whatnot. I almost forgotten. Spenser asked me to teach you something, ditto. So I shall teach you about Poke Assists. Yeah, and as we are gonna go through these, now I will only go for the Poke Assists when they are either necessary or if I don't have anything else to talk about, considering, well, now even though the Poke Assists can be extremely helpful, but for the most part, and this also goes for, and this very specifically goes into the second game. Yeah, utilizing the Poke Assist has never really been my specialty. Yeah, but I will definitely say for the first game, it's definitely gonna be useful for some specific battles. But not every single battle is really required for you to utilize the Poke Assists. So you really don't have to use them if you don't want to. Yeah. But I will only be utilizing the Poke Assists only if I feel like that they are entirely necessary for me. But anyways, everyone, now starting off with what the professor is talking about here. Now, our first Poke Assist that we're going to be utilizing is the grass one. Now, what this one does is that now when you utilize your capture line, the grass will sprout from the ground, and then when the opponent touches it, they will become immobilized. And also, you see that timer left up there on the top screen, that essentially tells you like how long you have before the Poke System runs out. But however, the effects can last longer if you just so happen to have a much more stronger Pokemon. Like, for example, with Grass here, if you just so happen to get yourself a more powerful Grass Pokemon, then the effect of this Poke Assist will last longer. And with how long the Poke Assist lasts with this one can either be 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. Depending on the Pokemon in question. Yeah. But anyways, now since we aren't gonna go into another tutorial with him, with another Poke Assist. So I may as well go over another Poke Assist that I can talk about right now. That being the flying one, considering that we already caught Taylor like twice. Now with the flying Poke Assist, now you form or flick twisters to make the Pokemon levitate, essentially leaving them immobilized as well. Now, for how long this one lasts can either be 10, 20, or 30 seconds. Now, I don't really find it particularly useful with the flying one. Yeah, more so because for some Pokemon, if you utilize that one at the wrong time, then the flying Pokemon that are levitating can actually go above your screen, above the bomb screen, which can really hinder you for you to be able to get them. Oh yeah, that's right. And there's also something that can also do with the trees here. But first, the Mudkip here. Now, yes, right, everyone. Now, this right here is what I was talking about. Yeah, now the professor is gonna tell us how the water assist on how the actual water assist works. Now, what the water assist does is that you form a bubble at the capture disc, and then when it is big enough, you flick it. Actually, you flick it at them. And it will essentially leave them immobilized as well. Now, there is one Pokemon in particular with the water assist that actually only lasts about 6 seconds, and it's probably the shortest, and it will probably be the shortest amount of time that you will ever get with them. But also they can either last up to 10, 20, 30, and 60 seconds. And also 60 seconds as well. Now, I will cover more of these Poke Assists as we go along for the game. Yeah, now, as I said before, I will cover more of these Poke Assists as we go along for the game, but only when they are entirely necessary for my part. But anyways. It says here now, when you just happen to have, if you still, now, as you saw there, if you're still holding the bubble before you flick it, or the Pokemon just so happens to go near the bubble before you flick it, then the bubble will pop. Yeah, meaning that you need to find a very specific space so that you can actually be able to flick it. Now, and I guess I should say this as well too, since we are still going for this tutorial again, is that this only goes for the first game of the series. Is that Pokemon can actually leave your bottom screen. Yeah, meaning that they can actually just walk/run off from the bottom screen, meaning that you're not gonna be able to get them until they actually start showing themselves again. Yeah, which is something that was thankfully changed within the starting with the second game. Yeah, now the only time that the Pokemon will ever leave the screen as if they are just about to utilize an attack move. Yeah, that right there will be the only time within the other two games that they will ever do that. But within this game, it is entirely random when it comes to them. When it comes to the Pokemon, would say that they can easily just leave the screen. And yeah, let me just say, it can definitely be extremely annoying to deal with. But anyways, everyone, now back to what I was saying about these trees here. Yeah, now these big trees, you can actually hit them. With the field move Tackle. Now if you have a Pokemon that can utilize Tackle, now they can essentially push and an object, I'm sure, like a tree. But anyways, everyone, I just saw it there. Now we just got ourselves our very own Torchic. And with this Torchic, now I may as well go over its Poke Assist. That of course being Fire. Now when she utilize the Fire Assist, Fire blazes from the capture line. Or form a large blaze of loops. Or you can form a large blaze from the loops, and it will also leave the Pokemon and it will also leave the opponents immobilized. And the effects last either 10, 20, 30, and 60 seconds, and also 60 seconds as well. Then as for the field move, is what you're gonna see right here. It's called Burn. Now, you saw it there. It essentially sets the objects on fire. Yeah, but however, it does exactly damage. But however, it will only affect that target, not so much in the entire forest. So yeah, thank God that will only last on my target, not so much in the actual forest. Yeah, but not so much in the actual forest, or not so much in the actual forest itself. But anyways, oh, here we go. Now we actually have our very first recharge Pokemon, that being a Pichu. Now what I mean by recharge is that when you have a Pokemon with the field move recharge, is that they can actually help you recharge your Styler wherever you want, as long as you have them, of course. Now these recharge Pokemon are extremely handy, because it will definitely save you a lot of time instead of instead of you just traveling all the way back to town, so that you can actually get your just so you can actually have your Styler recharged. Now you simply just grab yourself like a Pokemon like a Pichu, so that they can actually have your Styler be recharged. Now, and I guess I should say this as well too. Now, as I said previously, only plus and minus only have the Poké system, only have the Poké system discharge. But as for all of the other like electric type Pokemon that we aren't going to see within this game, they're all gonna have the recharge field move, and with the amount of HP that you can actually get back, are either 5, 15. Or every single one of your HP, and of course it depends on the Pokemon, of course. Now, as for this one, a fallen log, we're gonna need a Pokemon that is stronger than Torchic, and it is this one that appears right out of the bushes. That being a Combusken. Now, Combusken is essentially our first somewhat difficult Pokemon to get because. Yeah, not only can Combusken be fast, but also try to make sure that you don't get hit because these Combusken can hurt at times. Yeah, just be very, very careful. Yeah, just be very, very careful. Just be very, very careful about that. But anyways, now we're gonna have a lovely Combusken here to burn down the fallen log. Bye-bye. But anyways, and now here's our entrance to the Croca Tunnel. Now I am gonna be stopping this video after a while, after we get to our next save point. But I may as well talk about a field move that I also got to show off as well. That of course being Cut. Now, if you just happen to have a Pokemon with the field move Cut, you can then slice the objects. Yeah, you were probably going to be utilizing that for quite a bunch all throughout this playthrough. Yeah, and especially when we get to post-game. Yeah, you're definitely going to see what I mean as we get ourselves into that. Well, but anyways, now for Croca Tunnel. Now, what you're gonna see as we actually exit right down this pathway, yeah, we come across the outside of an area that we're actually gonna see much later on. That we're actually gonna go to much more later on. Down the road. Yeah, and here we have this guy with all of the with a whole bunch of Magikarps that he caught. Yeah, like I said, now this game can actually be, the areas in this game can be very connected, and you're definitely gonna see what I mean for when we actually get ourselves down there. But as everyone, we're gonna continue on for the next one. So till then, I'll see you guys next time.